So is this something that Mazzulla isn't willing to change, or is this just a goddamn miracle that just keeps happening to him? Is this the plague of locusts that just cannot slow down?
Well, it's the plague of locusts that they keep summoning upon themselves, to Waz's point. This is the game plan. And it does reek a little bit of when you are the more talented team, when you are the favorite in a series, you are compelled to play the percentages, right? To play it safe, to play your safety net. And in this case, your safety net is, Haywood Highsmith, Caleb Martin, Jaime Jaquez, in some cases, Tyler Hero. We're going to give you a certain amount of these looks, and we're going to default to taking away the rim instead, to taking away everything else inside. As much as you can understand some of the underlying logic of that, at some point in a game like this, you have to stop playing the percentages and play the fucking game. Like, you have to show up and adjust and tweak and understand that there are going to be nights, not unlike the end of game one, Daylon Wright is going to go off and hit a bunch of threes in a row. And if you're not ready to compensate for that in a game that's this tight, this is what happens to you, is you end up losing games that ultimately you have every reason to win.
I'm fine with giving up 3-point shots to Highsmith and Wright and some of these other guys, Jaquez, who nobody's idea of Ray Allen. Cool. Can they be under some duress while taking these threes? Can there be some pressure applied to these 3-point shots where at one point it looked like they were playing some kind of, on that last Highsmith 3, it looked like they were playing some kind of boxing one where Highsmith gets the ball and like literally nobody is giving a contest, and it's crazy. And then you contrast that. So, I'm screaming on Twitter to howling at the moon, obviously, because Joe Mazzulla can't hear me. And I'm like, you know what? It's nice that Boston is attacking the paint, because you know what? When teams decide they're going to stay home on all your shooters, not give any help, when you spread them out to make them pay, you have to go to the rack. Eventually, you have to make them start sending help, and then you can spray out to your shooters. And that's the game of basketball, folks. So I'm like, Miami is just like, yo, we know Boston wants to shoot threes. And yes, Boston has 3-point shooters with much better reputation than Miami does collectively. So obviously, it's a no-brainer that they want to take this tact. But like, Miami's like, we're cutting the 3-point oxygen off. They got to beat us one-on-one with the dribble going to the basket. Yep. And we're daring Jaylen Brown to do it against Tyler Hero. We're daring Jason Tatum, alleged MVP candidate, to do it against these guys. We're daring Drew Holiday. We're daring those guys. Joe Mazzulla can't bring himself to dare Jaime Jaquez and Highsmith to do the same thing. It doesn't make sense when Miami is daring your all-stars to do it. It's craziness.
Yeah, the issue, I think, was compounded by what happened on offense, specifically for the Celtics after halftime, because I think they only scored 40 points. And I think you have to look at a lot of candidates here, but Kristaps Porzingis, woof. And they brought him in with a lot of ballyhoo about what he could do as a post-up threat. And obviously, he was successful to a large degree this regular season. 1 for 9 in this game, minus 32. He got bullied around by Caleb Martin, Rob. And so, like, it was almost as if things couldn't go bad enough, they're like, let me just actually do this one thing that can make it absolutely worse.
Yeah, when we say that Spo is the best coach in the league, this is what we mean. And it's that there's nobody better at closing the gap in terms of talent and available firepower between teams. Some of that is what we've already talked about, switching everything, limiting Boston's 3-point attempts, jacking up your own 3-point attempts to close that gap. That's all well and good. But honestly, every team should be taking notice of this particular strategy with Kristaps Porzingis, which is you welcome the switches, you contain everything to the perimeter and take away the threes, and you dare Boston. For as much as they've talked about wanting to feed KP in the post, they've done it very successfully all throughout the regular season. But you see how that goes when they have to do it 5 possessions in a row. And you see how every other Celtic responds. And you see in this game, some of the passes that they're trying to throw to him over fronting defenders that are sailing out of bounds. And all of those things combined, the Celtics are obviously incredibly capable and incredibly talented. And if we're all being very honest here, they're going to win this series. Like, I feel very confident about that even still. But when a team that's better than the Heat is able to pull off some of these same things, the dynamics could look very, very different. And I think that the test for Boston is still make them feed KP in the post. Make them go to that over and over and over and see what happens if he misses 2 or 3 in a row and see where the psychology of the team goes at that point.
Here's the thing about Spo being the best coach in the NBA. Teams figured out how to guard Ryan Anderson. Remember when he was like the big thing because he was a stretch four? Teams figured out how to guard him 12 years ago, folks. They said, we're switched that, we'll put a little guy on him. He's like, that's literally the answer. Put a little guy on this dude because he doesn't have to possess the type of game to beat a little guy on a switch. And essentially, the Heat deployed this same strategy against Kristaps Porzingis, who all freaking year, all I heard about was, Kristaps is the switch buster. Oh, Kristaps, have you seen his efficiency numbers in the post? Oh my God, Kristaps is going to kill the switches when it comes. And what does this man do? The first sign of we need you to bust the switch? Dick.
Well, he did bust the switches in game 1. In fairness, he did bust the switches. I think the Ryan Anderson comparison is maybe a little bit unfair. It's a little, but that is more or less what
we
the Heat
appreciate
did.
it. Yeah,
A little too much sauce on it, but the flavor is good.
There you go. Yeah. What if this was just KP's rite of passage to becoming a Celtics? He just had to get his face thrown into mud and to realize that you can get your ass whipped by a team of just a band of 3-point shooters and grinders on defense. I thought throughout this game it was going to turn the Celtics' way, and I thought this was going to be an awesome test case for them overcoming some of their past trauma, as I was kind of expecting the series to be. And it looked like it was going to be the case. Jaylen Brown was really coming alive toward halftime.
Engaged, yeah.
Well, it didn't end up that way. I wonder if it ultimately can still be the same thing. I think the next game is probably going to tell the tale of whether or not Miami can make this a 7-game, even 6-game series. But I wonder if the Celtics, in a weird way, needed this. They needed to be reminded that they could still get kind of thrown into a tizzy in this way. And if anything, I always ultimately come back to Derek White almost being the salve, being the answer for a lot of these things, especially down the stretch. I know, like, maybe you want to save that for crunch time. Maybe you want to save that for important possessions. But, like, I wonder if we just need to keep tilting things more toward Derek White, less towards Tatum and Brown. That's ultimately where I always kind of default to in these situations.
See, I don't really have a problem with the way Tatum and Brown were playing for the most part. I think when Jason Tatum was in the game is when the Celtics looked the most ordered. When he wasn't in the game is when Peyton Pritchard was dribbling a lot. And I'm more concerned about those minutes than anything that Jason Tatum was doing. I'm more worried about some of Drew Holiday's decisions, as we often are, than anything Jason Tatum was doing.
Drew Holiday, this was a night for Drew Holiday and the world beating, he's Scottie Pippen and Bill Russell in a point guard's body. Boy, when they got Drew Holiday, they just got one of the greatest players in the NBA. Oh my God. Drew Holiday, he is so great. That's all I freaking hear
we are
from
10
everybody in NBA media.
We are 10 minutes into this podcast, and Kristaps Porzingis is the alleged switchbuster. Jason Tatum is the would-be MVP candidate, and Drew Holiday is Scottie Pippen.
I hope they put this on YouTube too, because the visual of Woz doing this in front of a pilgrim with what seems to be also a zombie, it really just enhances everything that's going on here.
Listen, when I'm watching Tyler freaking Hero drop 14 dimes on a team that possesses a dude who I'm told is the greatest vice grip in point guard history, and Tyler Hero is just through the legs, bopping, finding people all game while Drew Holiday is out there. I'm confused, folks. To get back to, I just had to do the Drew thing because I heard too much shit about how great Drew Holiday is this whole damn year, and it pisses me off because he does this every single playoffs.
Only starting member of the starting lineup with the plus minus, but okay.
Oh, please, because he was just so plus.
Well, Tatum too.
So Tatum and Brown absolutely need to be faster in how they attack. Yep. They need to be more deliberate on turning their one-on-ones into shots that are closer to the basket and not fadeaways from 11 feet away. I think they can improve upon that. The guys they're going up against, it's not going to be impossible to get some decent looks and generate that stuff. I think they do need to shore up that stuff. They need to attack quicker. They need to get in their stuff a little bit quicker. They got bogged down. They got pretty stagnant. I think they need to clean that up. But again, ultimately, I think, and Rob shared this with me before they came on, the Heat had a 119.5 offensive rating in this game. No Jimmy Butler. That is, again, I get it. The shooting was very hot. This is the fourth time since the Eastern Conference Finals that they've made better than half of their threes against the Boston Celtics. 4 times. Shouts to my boy Cooper Moorhead. According to him, no team has done that once in that time span.
I think I'm actually more surprised that you guys are sharing notes without me. Am I not on this thread or something? What's going on here?
I literally just asked him for one thing. Yeah,
Woz wanted a little dig. I got to hook him up. Look, you want some stats, Justin?
Wow,
I'll assist you too.
Collusion out here. I see what you're fucking doing. No, my thing is, it's tough because this is the whole conversation with the Celtics. It's almost like baked into how they succeed to allow Tatum and Brown to kind of get out and do their thing. On the other hand, it's just like Tatum, even at the nail or at the free throw line in kind of the post-up Kristaps zone buster position, also wasn't really like orchestrating and really killing it in the way that he should have. And so my thing with White is just like, it just seems like there's often order in the ball moves, and especially against the zone where you need that movement, like that to me feels like a reason to at least tilt toward him more, even if it's only the series.
Yeah, that's the thing. Against the zone, I think it makes all the sense in the world. And so long as Miami is playing Kevin Love the way they're playing him, which we'll have to see how much that lasts going forward, the zone is going to be a part of what they do. But I wouldn't be surprised, given the success against Porzingis down low. We'll see Haywood Highsmith guard him sometimes. We'll see Jaime Jaquez guard him sometimes. Obviously, we saw Caleb Martin get some reps there. So it's not like the Heat are bound to that strategy. And so long as they're switching, that's where all that creative stuff becomes so much more arduous for Boston. That's where it just becomes such a taxing process to get anything resembling an open three for them when a team is guarding them this way.